Hi, girl. Good evening. Nice to see you. Welcome aboard, girl. How was your weekend? And how was the week been? Welcome, welcome. Just let's give a couple of more people a couple of minutes to join in. I'm trying to put on a song I saw earlier, on YouTube. Some jazz thing. It's quite nice. It's quite nice, actually. I don't know what I have with jazz though. Recently, I've been doing a lot of jazz music, and I've been figuring out there are lots to jazz that a lot of us don't know because we never took time to figure it out, and I seem to be enjoying it. It's quite, they got different types. You have the relaxed one, and you have the very busy jazz music, and you have the jazz lounge. Like this one is called coffee music. Oh, thank you, Salim. Thank you. Welcome aboard. We're just gonna start up in another 3 to 5 minutes. You love me too. Well, thank you very much. I love me too. Thank you very much. The topic of tonight is looks, sex, and money. Does that equal to you saying I do? If somebody says, will you marry me? What do you look out for? That's actually what that means. A lot of times, a lot of us, we have a list of what we want in our men and the women, what the men want in women. But generally, a lot of people have specific criteria before they can marry anybody, before they can settle down for marriage, which is fine. That's still better than somebody marrying somebody without even knowing why they're marrying the person. So tonight I'm going to be talking about my idea about what you have to consider before marrying, before saying I do. As African as I am, I apparently have a very, very distinctive criteria before I can really say I do. Things have to be right. There has to be balance. I have to feel comfortable in my relationship. We have to know what we have in common before I can say I do. So, well, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Just let's wait a couple of more minutes, and I'm really going to go into it proper. Hi, Muhammad Hussein. Oh, thank you. Sorry, Salim, I can't call you. Anything you want to say to me, you can actually write it. I will read it. Nice to have you on here. Okay, I was just trying to look out for a couple of things to, use on the show tonight. And I found a couple of lists that were made like 20 years ago compared to the wants of people nowadays about marriage. And apparently, what I noticed is like, what people used to want then and what people want now seems to be more complex, and the difference is becoming a lot more, bigger than back in the days. I just went on Google and I put what to consider before saying I do. And, I was surprised with what I saw. Because I saw a detailed document of a couple of years back where people are talking about the difference between economical need, social need, and psychological need before saying I do. To a lot of people that might not make any sense. Like, what is she talking about? Economical need, social. Let me break it down. You see, to some people, they cannot marry anybody that doesn't have money, especially the women. Let's talk about women now. Women generally are looking for security. Women generally will look for somebody. Hey, hi, Easy Lizzie. Nice to have you on. Thank you for joining in. Please share and invite other people. This is going to be a good discussion for women especially. So women are very, very comfortable with, marrying just because somebody is financially stable. A lot of women will fall for somebody with good charms, and some will fall for somebody with good looks, and some it's just about how nice somebody is being to them. So a lot of times it's a combination of a lot of things that makes people fall for somebody else, both male and female. You have men that they're not particular about looks. They're not really particular about how fat, how thin you are. They are very particular about your heart. They are very particular about how a woman treats them, how a woman, makes them feel. And you have men nowadays that are particular about how rich a woman is. That's something that back in the days was not common. You don't have men, putting on their list how rich a woman is before they go into a relationship with a woman. But nowadays, that's actually an in thing, which surprised me because when I went online and I went to go search for documents that say, that where I can find things that people mostly consider, I came across a lot of things that really startled me. I came across a document of, of about 25 years old, and I thought, oh, okay, what are they talking about? Well, what is it all about? And I was surprised to see that even back then, men were writing that they would prefer to have a woman that has a job, a woman that can cater for herself and for the children. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, really? That's about 25 years ago already. And I was always thinking this thing about men wanting to have an independent woman started just recently. I mean, in the millennium. No, that's not it. Which was quite surprising to me, because this attitude we think some men have now, that they're particular about, comparing a woman to the way we women compare men. Back in the days, when I was younger, I had a Cinderella thoughts about marriage. I was more about, I need to find him very attractive, tall, handsome. He has to be rich, and if he asks me to marry him, I'll just say I do. That was it for me. The description of a man that we see in those love and romantic novels, Mills and Boons, if you know what I'm talking about. So I've always had this thoughts in me that I need to find him attractive anyway, and he has to be very comfortable too. However, I'm not the only one that has had that thought. A lot of women, especially women of African descent, are very particular about comfort. Because a lot of times we were brought up to think it's the man's job to make the woman financially comfortable. That's the way we were brought up. We were brought up to think, except a man is financially capable of supporting a family, then he's not the man, And, recently I have come to realize that that's just a cultural thing. That's just a cultural thing, because in this part of the world, in Europe, and maybe some part of Asia, and even in America, you still have the majority that have shifted from the mentality that a man needs to be rich. And when I mean rich, like it's a man's job to be financially okay. That's no longer the thing, Now women are trying to even get compared to men when it comes to comfortability. Women are fighting against getting less pay for the job they are doing when the man is doing it and they're getting better paid. So in that sense, that's going to be a lot of discrimination if we still stick to the idea that it's a man's job to be financially okay. However, I have a lot of sisters, I don't mean biological sisters, but I mean friends and women who are still of the opinion that they would not marry a man that is not rich, and I think it's actually a misconception, because marriage is not about money. Marriage is not about money. Money doesn't keep you in a marriage, believe me. I've seen people who have been married to very wealthy men and they couldn't last a year together, because it takes a lot more than just the flow of money, the comfort. There's more to marriage, except if you're just particular about having money and it doesn't really bother you what the other person does. So if as time went on and I grew older, the money part of it went away from me. I started losing the strong feeling that I used to have that a man needs to be rich before I can say I do. And I think age and experience and reality of life started coming into everything. My perspective changed, and now I can boldly tell you what a man needs to be before I can say I do. The right person knows already anyway, but I'm willing to share. And then we're gonna go talk about other people and what people think. And if you're watching, you want to share what a man needs to have before you can say I do, just type it out and I'm gonna read it out to other people to know. Okay, I have spoken about that women want, an attractive man. You got a lot of women that would only settle for an attractive man. Money is a big deal. And sex, that's why I actually put the topic to be good looks, sex and money. Is that I do. And forgetting other things, forgetting things like compatibility, forgetting things like chemistry, forgetting things like family background, mentality, religious convictions, intelligence, you know. And this is where it all goes wrong, you know, because a lot of times when we settle for those superficial things, when the puppy love feeling goes away, you know, when there is no more tick in your heart about the other person, then you forget what really brought you together in the first place, because the things are very temporarily, you know. I mean, obviously a man or a woman can keep their looks forever, maybe, but you cannot stay a lifetime with somebody just because of the way they look, because you're not going to be eating what they look like is not going to feed you. So if you have a good looking man that is lazy, that would rather sit in the house and let you do all the job, that is not caring, that is arrogant, that is very dirty, what are you going to do with that? Okay, so let's put good looks on the side. Or maybe you have a man, he's good looking, and at one particular time he had money, so you fell for him. So what happens when maybe for one reason or the other business goes bad and he loses his job and he doesn't have any more money? The good looks is not going to keep feeding you. It's not going to be your man. So you need to consider other things apart from the economical state of anybody you're with. Okay, so let's put another factor. Let's say it's about good looks, money, and sex. You know, maybe the sex is like superb. You're like, oh my God, this is what I want for the rest of my life. Hey, let me tell you this. At the beginning of every relationship, sex is always good, because each party is putting in an extra effort to make sure sex is beautiful. The excitement is great, because then you're just knowing each other. I'll put you in the situation where you're eating rice. When you eat for the first time in your life, you are just eating rice. Rice is nice, lekker, you know, very delicious. Because then you can mix it with sauce, you can do jollof rice, you can do fried rice, you can do all sort of things with it. But at a particular time, there will be nothing to do with your rice again. You will be used to eating rice in so many different ways that rice will no longer be a big deal to you. That is exactly the way you should see sex with one partner. So, if you're having, you know, the conviction in your heart that you want to marry somebody only because the sex is good, I'm trying to give it to you, just like in the case of rice. There will be a point where there will be nothing special about the sex again, because you've had it in different ways, in different positions. You've had all the feelings you can have, and the sex will be ordinary to you. That is what happens in long-term relationships, except it comes with other things. So that's me striking out marrying somebody just because of sex. Let me go back. We've had good looks, we've had money, and now we're talking about sex. Good looks alone is not the reason to marry somebody. It's not a reason enough for you to say I do. At least according to me. Having money at a particular time is not a reason for you to say I do either, on its own. Sex is not a reason to say I do either, whether man or woman. Okay, so what else do we have? Then let's start talking about the, you know, social and psychological compatibility. When you have a chemistry with somebody, you want to be with the person at all times. You want to, you know, share things. You can be vulnerable with the other person. You don't want to leave each other's, You don't want to leave each other's company, not because you're having sex or because of anything you're doing physically, but just because you feel comfortable to be with each other. That's chemistry. You always have something to talk about. You can always laugh. You can always discuss different things. That's chemistry right there. Okay, let's put that on the side. And then you have compatibility on social grounds. You know, you have people who like to party. Like me, I'm a party animal. As hard as I party, I work hard as well. So, if you have somebody who would conveniently party with you, who you can stay hours with, talking about sweet nothing, who you share the same mentality with, who you share the same convictions, religious convictions with, who you have maybe the same background, family background, who you have the same sense of ambition. Those are things that a lot of people do not consider before saying I do. And apparently, those are the most important things that can guarantee longevity in your relationship. So, for me personally, I have grown to understand that the superficial things alone are not enough for me to say I do. So I might have a good relationship with somebody who is tall, handsome, and very good looking, financially comfortable, and maybe good sex, but that still isn't a reason for me to say I do. If I cannot find 85% compatibility, 85, that's a lot, 85% compatibility, then I don't think I will be doing the person or myself any good by saying I do. Because then to me, I think the difference we will have in ourselves are going to be too high for us to compromise. The reason why I say 85 is there is no perfect person. You cannot have 100%. There are still going to be other things about me that he would prefer I do differently. And there will be other things about him that I would prefer he does differently. But those are things that we would have to manage. Those are things that we will have to be able to compromise, So that's why I said 85% compatibility. But then, obviously, I know it's not very easy to find somebody like that. However, in my life, I cannot deny I've come across, potential people that I know I could say I do to. And I feel there is one person out there for everybody. In America right now, research has shown that the rate at which divorce is going is so high that the record will be broken in 100 years this year. And the reason why people seem to be getting married and getting divorced is because of these factors that I've spoken about earlier. A lot of people, they go into marriages without considering the essence of, being in a relationship. We have people that have gone into marriages just because of the ceremony, or because of peer group pressure, or because your family wants you to get married, and because your friends are getting married, and then you go into a marriage. And we have some people that have actually been married because they have friends who have promised them, like the marriage with this person is going to be very interesting. I know the family, not because they know the family themselves, but because they think, okay, if you marry into this marriage, if you marry into this family, you're going to have a very, very good life, because people in the family, they are socialites, they are well known, not even knowing who they are marrying. We have that still. It's not as if they were forced to it, but because of hearsay, you marry somebody without considering the personality of the person you're marrying. And then maybe they hang out together. They say, well, I would stick it out until maybe just about 4 years. You marry somebody who will come across as very interesting to you, both men and women. We have men that have married women just because of how physically attractive they are. And then later you find out you're not just about physical attraction. You're about respect. You're about how somebody can keep the home. You're about how intelligent your woman is. Or you are about, the hygiene. Some people marry people and all their lives, they've never seen them without makeups. I know a guy that said, all the time I was dating this woman, I'd never seen her without makeup. They dated for about 7 months, and in the 9th month, they got married. Basically, for me, that's a mistake, because apparently somebody can hide their behaviors for a whole year. They can hide who they are just for you to feel comfortable in their presence. People can pretend for a whole year. In fact, according to research, it takes minimum of 2 years for you to get used to your partner. Get used in the sense that, they would not be able to keep up the facade, the acting. So if you really want to get married, I will suggest take minimum of 2 years to study the other person you want to get married to. Do not be fooled by a madam that is so enthusiastic about marrying you, doing everything the way you want it, saying yes to everything, but deep down actually is just pretending. We have a lot of women like that too. The same way we have men that will lie to you just to get you to say I do. And then those kind of men, you will know them because they are the ones that have no patience for anything. They are the ones that are rushing. They don't even know what you like. They don't know what you want. They don't know what you smell like. And they are already telling you, I love you and I want to marry you within 2 weeks of meeting them. If eventually you sleep with them, they may run away and there will never be a marriage. So that is a possibility. But if eventually somebody is pushing you into marriage, at the moment that you yourself know that this is not supposed to be happening now because it's too early, when you have doubt, it's because there is something that is not sitting right. If you're going to be marrying Mr. Good, then you are only considering the fact that the person is good to you. You're only considering how nice somebody is to you. But if you're going to consider marrying Mr. Right, or Mrs. Right, then my advice will be to consider not just only the economical standard of state of the person, consider the social state of the person as well. And social in the sense that you have to know what the person brings out socially. Is he a very friendly person, not only to you, but to other people? Is the person an outgoing person? Are you an extrovert and he is an introvert? Is he an introvert and you're an extrovert? Is it somebody you'll be able to work with on the road and introduce to anybody? How will this person react when you are in the midst of other people? How do you react to the person when they are in the midst of other people? How will this person treat you? How do they treat you? What do they ask of you? Is it somebody that will be at your side 24 hours just because you are in the midst of other men? Is it a woman that will be at your neck 24 hours just because you are around other women? Is it a woman that is going to pick up a fight just because you're being friendly to another woman? Is it the kind of woman that only wants to stay in the house with you 24/7? Weekends, you're not allowed to go anywhere. Or is he a man that would rather you don't go anywhere and you're the kind of woman that wants to hang out with your friends once in a while? Or is it the kind of person that likes to go out with you just the same way you like to go out with them? Is he the kind of person that will stay on the dance floor with you the whole night without getting tired because that's the way you are too? Those are the little things that will keep the relationship intact when the sex falls out, when old age comes, when maybe there is no money the way it used to be, when the good looks goes away. Those are the little details that people need to consider that a lot of times are being left out. And that's the social aspect of it. So let's talk about the psychological aspect of a relationship. The psychological aspect of it has to do with the emotions you have. It's not everybody that loves everybody they are married to. Some people have gotten married and they've never said I love you to each other. That's a fact. There are people that will say marriage is not about love. There are people, hey, hi Makeba, thank you very much. Thank you for joining in. Please share, invite other people. There are people that will say marriage for me has nothing to do with emotions. There are people that will say it's about understanding. There are people that are into a marriage like a business deal. You get what you want and I get what I want. So you need to identify yourself, identify what you want out of a marriage before you consider even saying I do. And that is the psychological part of it that a lot of people do not even understand. A lot of times when we were growing up, let me take me for an example. You know, now I know the difference about the social, economical part of a marriage and the psychological part of a marriage. But back then, because of the books I used to read and because of the movies I used to watch, when I see people say they are in love, I don't know what love is, but the way they are like missing each other, they want to kiss each other, they want to be around each other. They're working on their psyche actually. And the state of mind you find yourself when you want to be with somebody else, it transcends love the way we know it, because love is a state that can wear out after a while but stays for all time. You know, let me break that down. The feeling of love, the puppy love, oh, I miss him, I need him, my heart is making boom 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 when he's not around. That puppy love thing, it wears out. And what remains is actually a combination of emotions and friendship. That's the kind of love that stays for a long time. It's no longer as hard as it used to be at the beginning, but it's a feeling of, I don't want to live without him. I don't want to live without her. It's different from that feeling of wanting, missing, needing. It becomes a more mature kind of feeling. The difference in the feelings we have when we begin our relationship and the one that sustains us is that one that a lot of people do not consider. A lot of people only consider the feeling at the beginning, the feelings you have at the beginning. Those feelings can wear away, they can wear out as time goes on. They can wear out because time, maturity, events will come and go and take over the attention we have for each other. And if we don't have a friendship and all we have is that puppy love, when the puppy love thing wears out and we don't have a friendship, then there is nothing left. Some people will be married to people and after 8 years they just discover they are with a stranger. It has happened to a lot of people. And then they are wondering, so what was it I saw in this guy before? Or what was it that I liked about this woman before? It's because you have settled to marry somebody because of the superficial feelings, superficial things in the relationship. The the most important part of staying together, like friendship, like your social compatibility and your psychological compatibility, were never put into consideration. You will see some people, they are friendly together, they can be best of friends in a relationship, just friends, but they don't have the connection. Even when they have sex like just friends. There's a difference between you having sex passionately, full of intimacy, you know, and there's a difference between you having sex with somebody just superficially, just to release, just to get off the aggro, you know. People do not know this. A lot of women, especially, when you go into a relationship, you're just about the feelings you have. You're not considering the feeling the other person has. A lot of us do not even realize the feelings men have when they have sex. Sex to men, mostly, if they are not intimately connected to you, is very superficial. It's just about the release. So you're going to be making the biggest mistake of your life if you think you're marrying somebody because he likes to have sex with you. And you're thinking, wow. Because that's not what the person would want for the rest of their lives. At a particular time, a man can realize, oh my God, I need to have somebody that I am passionate about. Not just somebody I am having sex with as if I'm playing table tennis, or I'm playing tennis, or I'm playing football. To a lot of men, sex could be sports. And then you go and settle down and marry somebody because of the way they behave when they're having sex with you. That would be the biggest mistake of your life. And the same thing happens to women too. Because recently, I have come to the realization that you have women that can have casual sex as well. They don't have an issue with just having casual sex. You know, sex with no commitment, with no intimacy. I need you, you need me, we do it, you go, I go. So if you are a man and you are full of emotions and you are with a woman who sees you only as a service boy, whether financially you're just servicing a need, whether it is sexually you're just servicing a need, who has no intimacy, no emotional intimacy with you, and you think you are falling in love and you want to marry the person, then that will be a mistake. Because there's going to be a time when that person would not need your service again, or when the person would need something else, or will yearn for something else. And then you'll be stuck in the relationship. You'll be stuck in the marriage. But these are the things that you need to consider before you say, I do. And the only time you can actually know more about the kind of contact you have, the kind of relationship you have, is when you are courting each other. So if you're courting and you're courting for just 6 months, how do you want to get over those things? How do you want to talk about the commitment? A lot of people do not even know how to talk about intimacy. I know a lot of couple that they've never discussed the intimacy. And when I say intimacy, don't think I'm talking about sex as intimacy. I'm talking about emotional intimacy. Hi, Zeki. Nice to have you. Hello. Miss King, nice to have you here, Mrs. King. I see you. Thank you. So a lot of people do not even know how to discuss those things with their partners. If you don't have the psychological commitment, you know, the psychological binding, when you cannot even talk freely, you cannot be vulnerable with each other. Hi, girl. Then there is a problem. Because when there is a fight in a relationship and all you have been about in that relationship are the superficial things, imagine there's a fight about something in the house. The person you're with will not be able to express themselves in the way you will understand, because you have not had the kind of binding together where you understand even words unspoken. You know, there are some couples, before they speak to each other, they already know what the other person is feeling. That's because they will say they know each other a lot. They've been together for too long. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be because of that. It's because their psychological state of mind is aligned. They are thinking in the same way. They know what each other wants. They know what the other party wants. Those are the kind of things that keep the relationship going. Take, for example, you marry somebody because of their popularity. I know women, they will marry somebody just because it's a popular person. And they've been together, they want people to see them together. That is women that have social needs that need to be fulfilled. They put themselves in a social status, and they need somebody of the same caliber socially to fulfill that social need. Some people will just marry you because of that. They don't mind, they will walk them, they don't mind even if you don't have money. If you just have name and popularity, they are satisfied. But they forget the person who is popular today might not be popular again tomorrow. So what happens? Then the feelings of wanting to be with the person will diminish. Then the person loses the legitimacy of being with them. And the same thing goes to a man. If you fall in love with me because I'm popular, or because I can talk my way from the Netherlands to Kaduna, and this is what you like about me, there is a part of SOBJ that has big mouth as well. There is a part of me that is very, very controlling to an extent. If you give me the chance, I will take over everything. So if you're not a strong man, and you don't have a mind of your own, and the only thing you see about me is this, and the fact that, oh, I like the way she speaks, I like the way she talks. How about that part of me that you don't know? How about the psychological state of mind I can be that might not tally with what you have or what you want? How about the part of me that is really, 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 really annoying, especially when you don't want to listen to what I have to say? If you're the quiet person and sometimes you're not so interested in politics, I can discuss politics from now till next week. So if you're a man and you know, okay, I like the way she looks, I like the intelligence, I like the way she carries herself, but I cannot stand a woman that talks too much, then you don't want to marry me. Because I can pretend not to want to talk, only because you don't want me to talk. But you're going to be sushing me. You're going to be, taking a part of me away that makes me who I am. And these are the kind of things that people do not consider. I cannot imagine me being with a man that does not have ears for what I have to say. And that has to do with compatibility. Because if you are a man and you like to watch African movies, and you like to talk about African movies, or you are a man that wants to watch football, you want somebody you can discuss football with, because it's not every time you have your buddies to call to talk about football with. You are in your house, you want to relax, you want to watch football, but your woman would rather be upstairs watching African movie. So you have a house, husband is downstairs, wife is upstairs. When you don't have children in the house, and the children, they leave and they go, you will find out you are living two different lives. Those are the kind of things that keep relationship together, that keeps a marriage going. And those are the social and psychological compatibility that people do not think about. They are the hobbies that you have to share. They have the interest that you need to have. that really will keep a relationship together. I know of somebody that thought, you know what, it's not going to be a problem. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to like those things you like. Oh my God, that was a mistake. Because that is that person trying to force themselves to like what I like, not because they really like it. After a while, they're going to get tired of trying. Do you want to live your life just because of somebody else? Or you want to live your life in a marriage and be free to be who you are? And the other person is free to be who they are. And you find a common ground in who you are. Two individuals in a life. That is why the only reason I would say I do to anybody is because I see my life in combination with that other person's life. Two different people, but with a balance. Because then there has to be 85% social and psychological compatibility. So big grammar, but let me break it down. That means we have to have a lot of things in common. Our hobbies. I like sports. Then you have to have some kind of affiliation for sports. I like to dance. You need to be able to go out with me and dance. And if you don't want to go out, you have to allow me to go with my girls. You know, I'm a social person. You need to be able to accept me when I'm with other people. You need to be able to stand beside me, hold my hands and hold me in my waist and be my man. You know, and you need to be able to understand that I might have a projection for the future. So if in the future I want to become a minister and you think you don't want to date a political person or somebody who will be in the limelight, then don't come and ask me to marry you. Those are the kind of things that we don't consider. A lot of times people do not project. Women especially, you're just particular about what they can offer you now. How about in the future when you start wanting more? According to research, people do change. You know, there are intervals of about 8 years before people change into the next phase. So the phase I am now might not be the phase I will be in another 8 years. But what will not change is my personality. So that means if you want to be with somebody, you say I do too. Because I do, to me, is for the rest of my life. That means I have to consider the personality of that person that will not change. The wants, you know, our wants, our social wants might change. You might like to go out in the next 10 years of your life. Maybe when I'm above 50, I am no longer interested in hanging out with my girlfriends or going to parties. I might want to have a private kind of partying with me, my friends, my family, my man alone. So things like that could change as well. But what will never change is the fact that I will always remain a social person. It is only the grade, the level, the status that might change. So if you're the kind of person that do not like people that like parties, and you're the kind of person that wants to go to your work, come back, stay in your house 7 days a week, you don't like crowd, then do not go and start looking for somebody that likes crowd. If you're the kind of woman that cannot stand that your man is the center of attraction, you have men, when they enter a place, when they come into a place, everybody will notice them that they are there. Just the way it is with women. And if you are a woman that you are afraid that other people will like your man and take him from you, you are insecure, you don't like crowd, you're not the kind of person, your man is the kind that likes to go out, likes to party, you don't like that, please, better off to look for somebody that will be like that, because eventually later your differences will break you up. Except if your feelings or your want for other parts of the marriage precedes the social the social part of him that you don't really like. Some people, their economical standard supersede their psychological standard in a marriage. If the man is rich, it doesn't matter. Let him fly, go to London, go to America, leave them at home. The moment they are comfortable in their house, they have money, they have a car, they have food, their children are in good school, it's okay for them. There are some women like that. They are very comfortable the moment economically they are okay. If you're that kind of woman, okay, fine. Because that means you're going to be happy no matter what it is. You don't need him to be happy. The moment you have a name that is not your father's name behind your name, and the man is financially okay, fine for them. Believe me, there are women like that. So if me and you are not like that, we will be wondering how a woman can be happy when they never see their husband, but their bank account is saying something else. I can't be happy like that. I can't. Because I'm the kind of person that wants to have a man next to me. I want my man to go with me to all of these places I go to, if possible. I want my man to be able to stand beside me and we're talking to people and other people are talking to us. I want to have a socialite as a man, you know. So if I'm the kind of woman that would just relax at home and my man is the socialite, or the other way around, it's going to be very difficult. But I have come to learn that from the 7 billion people in the world, there are people that cannot stand the kind of life that I have too. They cannot stand it. They cannot stand all this public talking. They cannot stand all this attention. And they would rather just have a muse, somebody who will just be there, you know. When they go out, they do their thing, they want to come back and the woman is there. There are men like that too. And there are women like that. They want to be the one there out there, but they want their man to be the one that will chill, you know. The man that doesn't like camera, doesn't want attention, doesn't want to go to parties, they don't want to do anything apart from just go to work, come back home, take care of the kids, maybe watch football and stay at home. There are people like that too. The bottom line is, make sure you know the kind of person you are, what you want, and what you want in your partner. And make sure you know what your partner wants in his or her partner as well. So that you will not find out after 10 years of being together that you both want different things. Because those are the kind of things you're supposed to consider before you say I do to anybody. And that is what the point is. That is the question of today. What does it take for you to say I do? So I'm hoping with this explanation of me and what it takes for me to say I do, we can all go back into ourselves. That is if you're still single, and check out what it really means for you to say I do. What do you need to say I do? And once again, just like I always say, marriage is not the measure of your success in life. Please, for me, Sarah Olajumoke Balogun James, SOBJ, marriage is not the measure of success. The measure of success to me is the quality of life I live, with or without a man. So, if eventually I get married, it's because I find Mr. Right, not Mr. Good. Mr. Right. Mr. Right in the sense that we have the balance. Somebody I know I will be able to stay the rest of my life with. Doesn't have to be perfect, but there has to be 85% compatibility. Sex has to be good. He has to have financial independence. I need to find him extremely physically attractive. He might not be attractive to somebody else, but I need to find him attractive. We have to share the same projection for the future. We have to have ambitions together. He has to have an ambition for himself. And I have to have my ambition. I have to be able to respect him. He has to be able to respect me and those things that I want. He has to like my personality. He has to be able to appreciate what I am capable of and be proud of me and flaunt me to the world. And I have to be able to do the same with him. And if all of these things come together, then I know I have 85% of compatibility. Then I might be ready to just say I do. So sisters and brothers, my advice to you tonight is to consider those things that works for you. Not the pressure of the family, not advice of your friends, not because the man is a nice man or the woman is a good woman, or because it's an attractive person, or today she's rich, she has a good job. There are more that you need to consider than just those things. Communication. There are people in a relationship, they cannot even talk to each other. They cannot talk like normal talk, like you sit down and discuss. You need to be able to do that, because when there is a break in communication, it will be difficult to talk about difficult things. Some people cannot even sit down together and discuss their day. That's right. 70-80 compatibility. That's good. If that works for you. For me, I say 85. I know that's high, but that's because I have thought to myself, 15% I can manage to compromise. You know, on both sides. On the other side of the guy too. You understand? But if it's becoming more, there will be too much work for me to do. And I'm not interested in working on the relationship. I want the relationship to have just a little bit of work is good. If I was younger than now, and I'm just coming out of the uni and no baggage, no barrier, no experience. Do you understand? I'm still learning. Then I can settle down for 70%. Oh, that's true. I can still settle down for 70%, because then I can include those differences into my growth, you know, like we all grow together. You know, our people will say, you will grow together, you will grow to learn to know each other. But I'm over 40. So 30% will be too much work for me. And I'm sure for the other person too. So it has to be almost. And that's why I said 85%. You know. But even some people, 65% might work for them. But for me, I think a minimum of 85% is what I need. You know. Maybe I'll settle with 80. But anyway, who is weighing it? It's not what we decide for ourselves. But you get what I mean. So that the little things that you need to work on will not be things that are life-changing. Because you cannot change a grown man. You cannot change a grown woman either. You can work together to make your lives together work. But to totally change a grown man or a grown woman, it's going to be very difficult. Your habits you can change. Some behaviors you can change. But personalities you cannot change. It is inborn. People have grown with their personalities. So the 15% must not be about my personality. Because if you're asking me to change that, then you're asking me to become somebody else. The 15% that I'm talking about on the compatibility level has to do with maybe some habits I have picked up along the way and he doesn't like them, you know, or some behaviors that, you know, you can go off after, you know, you get somebody to correct you each time, like, I don't like that thing you're doing. You can go off them. Good. You know, those things I can accept to change as well. Like alcohol, you know, alcohol, smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana, or maybe little things that, you know, you can change in somebody, or the way they eat. You know, people, some people don't have table ethics. They don't have table manners. Those are the kind of things you need to watch out. Because socially, I would definitely say to you, if I have a man who doesn't have table manners, I would not run away from that, because table manners I can learn. You know, public appearance, you can teach somebody. Those are the 15% I'm talking about. Dressing, you can teach somebody if they are willing to learn. Some people, they have no sense of combining clothes. Women and men. And you are the one that knows what you find attractive in somebody else. The man knows what they find attractive in somebody else. I know men that would rather have their women dress like harlots. What me and you will think is the dressing of an harlot. A man can like it. And they want their women to dress like that. If you're a woman and you know it doesn't bother you, if your man is all about you wearing mini skirts every time, those are things that have nothing to do with your personality. Those are things that you can change. You can learn to start wearing mini skirts. If your man thinks, well, I love women in mini skirts, maybe once or twice in a week you can throw in mini skirts for him so that he feels comfortable. Well, that's what I like in my woman. You know, if you're the kind of woman that like men in trendy clothes and your man is okay with that, you can throw that in and let them do that as well. You know, so those are the kind of little things I'm talking about that you can change in somebody you're with, not their personality. So my advice for tonight, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, daddies and mommies, is that before you say I do to anybody, please do not only consider the superficial things and factors. Consider the social and psychological things in your lives as well. Your state of mind, your future ambition, your future projection for your life compared to that of the person you're with. Consider your partner's needs, psychological needs, emotional needs, and their social needs as well before you say I do. Because if you say I do too early based on superficial things, when those things wear out, you will be saying I do. You will be saying I do not faster than you know it. And that is what leads into premature divorces and all. So when you want to say I do, say it because you mean it. Thank you very much for joining in tonight. Thank you for being a part of this show. Thank you, my personal person. It was nice to have you on. Please share the video. Let's keep educating one another. Let's keep, teaching the younger ones especially that there is no pressure in marriage. You shouldn't go and marry somebody just because somebody else or you think the society wants you to. You need to marry somebody because you're comfortable with what they have to offer you and what you have to offer them. Let's just go on living life and be happy people. Thank you very much and good night. I wish you a very, very good rest of the week, and I hope the weekend brings with it very nice things. Thank you all. Good night. Bye. See you in another 2 weeks as we talk about something very interesting. Bye-bye.